This week, we are continuing our conversation about solving problems. Hi, I'm Matt from vHub, and we're in number two now. Number two, we've gotten our first one done with Jamie Irvin, an amazing conversation. And today, the great hits don't stop. When you're thinking about solving problems, I like to imagine how technology and software can help those. And there are a few people better than my very special guest, Sara Howes. Sara is a thought leader and a UX and UI expert. She builds beautiful and functional software. She's also a really good friend. But before we talk to Sara, check this out. Sara, welcome back. Tell me, how did you get in the transportation industry?
Ooh, okay. So, by accident.
I think that's most of the answers from most people I've talked to. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I took a job with a software company in the industry and started building new software solutions um, for the service repair ecosystem. And now I've been in it for a little under 5 years and doing a lot of work, meeting a lot of good people in the industry. And I think there's a lot of fun opportunity here. So I guess I'm stuck, as Chris Jolly once told me.
Yes, Chris, absolutely. Well, when you're in this space, what we find out is that transportation and logistics connects everything. Every
Mhm.
manufacturer, every distributor, every retail customer. The
Yep.
path of owning something at some way touches the industry. So as we think about transportation and logistics, what are the problems that you help your clients solve with the software that you build?
Yeah. So, me individually, I do a lot of B2B consulting with firms that are looking for kind of ways to mature their CX practices or their UX practices. We do kind of that evolution and that maturity time frame, and then I also do a lot of work with organizational alignment around a particular vision or product goal, and as well as integrating that roadmap, integrating CX and UX into that product roadmap, that strategic product roadmap, so that people can envision this great end state. They know it can be backed up, uh, that goal can be backed up with research that proves a particular hypothesis. And they figure out a way to plan that out in such a way that's feasible, that's doable, and that will help them reach their corporate goals and help empower their users and their customers, whether it's straight B2B or B2B to C.
Well, I love software it's been getting into the supply chain. So the problems that we face, we were talking about this before we started recording, is the problems aren't new. These are all kind of old problems, but this technology to solve those problems seems to be the biggest differentiator. So when it comes to software, like what comes first? Is it the product? Is it the design? What do you have to do?
So neither.
So are you saying I had the that's not the wrong question? What is the right question? What's the question I should be asking?
Well, so really what comes first is a hypothesis. So like I said before, right? There's usually a hypothesis in someone's brain, right? Someone thinks that if we do X, that will improve this metric or improve this person's day, or sell a bunch of this type of thing, right? You start with that hypothesis, and I call it specifically a hypothesis and not a concept, not a product, because you're not there yet. You start with this hypothesis, you do research. That can be product market fit, that can be uh, qualitative, quantitative. It probably needs to be some sort of mix. You need to understand your TAM, you need to understand your potential ROI, because what you're about to embark on as a software project is going to be a long and costly endeavor no matter what you do. If you do it right, you need to prove that hypothesis first. So you need to have a certain amount of confidence that what you're about to invest makes sense. Uh, and so that that research, that understanding can shape your solution as you continue to evolve it. So you start with a hypothesis, you prove it out. Now you have a concept. You have a better formulated idea of what it is that you're going to deliver, why you're going to deliver it, who your top primary users are going to be, not just your good users, not just users who will buy it and like it, but people who will evangelize it, your ideal customer. You need to know who those people are, and what it is that they need. You need to know what they absolutely must have, what is going to be kind of good for them, what's going to be table stakes, that will help you formulate that concept, what it looks like, what it includes, what it does not include, because you also have to be able to formulate a reasonable MVP for this thing. So then you get into design. Then once you've developed it against that design, you're going to be testing and validating throughout this whole process. Then you have a product after you
Wow.
finish that delivery.
It's a scientific process.
It pretty much is, yeah.
It's a process of saying, I understand the problem, but do you really? And here's the
Yep.
hypothesis of how I think the problem could be fixed.
Yeah.
And then you figure about who else would benefit from this product that fixes this problem.
Yes.
And you test that along the path of data to say, does the data support that this hypothesis, this inference is going to be correct? And only until you've gotten to the point of, to your point, spending potentially tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars to make the
Mhm.
software to solve the problem that your hypothesis believed could do.
Yep.
That's an incredible understanding of the challenge of finding and creating useful software,
Yeah.
because this is a process that's going to take time and it's going to
Yes.
take resources.
Yes, absolutely. But it's always cheaper, always smarter to pull the plug on a project when you're in the research and the concept phase than it ever will be once you've gotten into the development phase. That development phase will cost you way more if you get it wrong than anything that would cost you in the previous steps of that process. And that's the science of this, right? That's why we do it. A lot of people think about CX and UX as potentially, and when I say CX and UX, by the way, I'm talking about customer experience and user experience. A lot of people see those steps, that research, the design phase, as slowing things down. And it'll feel like that to a lot of people who aren't familiar with the benefits of going through those steps. But really, what it is it's saving you time and money later, because you're not going to develop the wrong thing. You're not going to have to pivot 6 times when you're in development and cost yourself time and resources and money on a scale that's way higher in that phase than it would be in those initial phases. So it actually helps protect your project. It's like it's an upfront investment in that project, in that deliverable, in that product, but it pays massive dividends, because what you don't want to do is go to market with something that someone doesn't really love, that they won't evangelize, that they won't immediately be chomping at the bit to buy, right? You don't want that, because that kind of sours the whole playing field for you once you've gone to market. So you also want to go to market with a strong positioning and messaging plan for that product. All that upfront research, all that validation helps you understand exactly who you're going to go to, what you're going to say, how much you're going to charge for it, what the licensing structure is going to look like. It's going to tell you all those things. So it's basically like serving up on a platter to you your potential user base and all the other ancillary users that you may come across, and like little things that they may need too. So you create this whole plan. You have this like you crystal ball essentially for what it is you want to go to market with if you do those first steps.
I feel like it's fail fast, learn faster, research, 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 research. Wait, hold on. Um, I am so sorry. We have to jump to today's sponsor. Just give me one moment.
Very
This
dramatic.
is this is really exciting. We've been pushing everyone we could get a hand on to get this sponsor for today's program, and oh my goodness, this sponsor is incredible. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Time Magazine's 2006 Person of the Year. Who was Time Magazine's Person of the Year in 2006? It was you. You were chosen in 2006 as Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
No way.
Congratulations on everything that you've done. Now, in more recent news, you navigated a global pandemic. You really hit your stride. Shout out to the past self for putting in the work to get you where you are right now. And to your future self, you're working, you're grinding, you got this. As always, thank you so much for sponsoring today's broadcast. And without further ado, back to the main presentation. Sara, I'm so excited you were able to be our sponsor for today.
I'm excited too. I'm very proud.
Did you know you were going to be the sponsor for today?
I'd heard that a few years ago, actually,
Okay.
that I was, the person of the year in 2006.
Yes,
It
that
was a
exactly right.
very
Exactly right.
highlight of my life right there. Yes.
We all put a lot of work in, so I'm really excited about that. Now, before we get into any more of the stuff, I have a couple questions. So it has been an interesting couple of years, Sarah. What are you most excited about?
Well, to be a little bit of a nerd, and kind of going back to one of your first questions, I'm kind of excited to see how technology continues to have an influence in our industry and in the transportation industry. Really, we've seen technology and user experience and customer experience and all of those things really kind of already saturate the logistics side of things. There's still so much of North American transportation that is ripe for innovation, where user experience and customer experience and technology solutions can really have a meaningful impact on somebody's day. Not just getting your package to you faster. I mean, obviously that's always great, and that's a major business driver and things like that. But you know, with repair, with service, with the way technicians and shops work, with trailer repositioning, with all these things, we're like at this cusp, like this brink of this, I think, kind of technology evolution in this industry. And I think that that's really cool. And I think you're going to continue to see in this industry, not even just technology or software for the sake of software. Everybody knows like the old AS400 systems and stuff like that. They've been around here for a long time. They've made their impact. We're going to see a new class of software, a new class of technical solutions, with geofencing, with geolocation, with connected materials, like connected components, all coming together. And with a new standard of user and customer experience kind of integrated into that, have profound influence and ways to evolutionize or revolutionize the industry here that I think is going to kind of blow some people's minds.
Well, I love as we think about like the problems in the
Mhm.
industry with trucking, for example, you have hundreds of thousands of open positions for drivers. And
Mhm.
even when those positions are filled, most trucking companies experience a retention issue
Yeah.
where between 60 to maybe even 70 or 80% of your drivers that you hire will leave you after the first year. And that's not different than the world of mechanics with
Yeah.
mechanic positions, whether they're working on diesel equipment or they're looking on trailers or other types of commercial vehicles. As new powertrains come out there, whether it's electric or some sort
Mhm.
of compressed natural gas, we know the future remains connected, autonomous, shared, and electric.
Yep.
And if we can do anything to make people proud or excited to do these jobs, software is one of the ways you're going to touch them. That is
Yeah.
what the driver will see every day. That's
Yeah.
what the mechanic will start their day with. And if we can make these systems and technologies that talk to them, their companies will be benefited, but also our industry, because we need more. We need more drivers and we need more mechanics. And the
Yeah.
software is the step to get us there.
Exactly. I mean, you can think about even just driver health, right?
Yeah.
How can technology solutions improve not only retention, but like their health? How can you make that kind of grueling job with a lot of those hard deadlines and tough turnarounds and things like that, being away from your family? How can you make that easier? How can you make that better? Not just for the company that's, paying that driver to haul freight from one point to another, but for the driver themselves, so that they want to do those jobs, so the technicians want to do those jobs,
Mhm.
so that that's a fun thing to do. We have the power to do that, and I think we're going to see a lot of strides taken in that direction over the next few years.
Well, let's say that I'm looking to understand product market fit, or I'm looking to understand road mapping. Uh, where can someone find information about you to set up a consultation or learn more about what you have
Yeah,
in the
great
pipeline?
question. So you can reach me on LinkedIn, obviously Sarah Howes on LinkedIn,
How do you
and
spell that?
SarahHowes.
Good. I like that.
And obviously my website as well, sarahhowes.com.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. If people want to learn more, we will have the show notes with information to reach out to you. At vHub, we are solving problems every day to help make commercial asset sharing easier. Whether you rent, lease, or own, see how vHub can help streamline your business. Download our app or find out more at vhubapp.com. Sarah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt. It was good to be here.